was like, ooh, this is getting a little dark, Ben. What are you going to do here? Hey guys, Kenny here, the Hobby Cop, and thanks for stopping by the channel. So on today's video, if you're somewhat of a detective or I guess a sleuth, you could tell what I'm going to talk about by the image behind me. That is Ben Armstrong, or BitBoy Crypto as most people would know him by, and he says the biggest YouTube channel on or the biggest crypto channel on YouTube. That has since kind of changed. I think the Coin Bureau is ahead of him now, but whatever. He is one of the biggest channels on YouTube related to crypto, an influencer, one would say. So this video is going over a Twitter thread that he posted, I think it was yesterday or the day before, and I think it's a 7-part Twitter thread with like some of them like it seems like 15 different posts within them. If you've ever tried to navigate different Twitter threads like that, it's very difficult. So I'm going to do a video. You can listen to this soothe-sounding voice, or my soothe-sounding voice, read it to you. Or you can go try to navigate it yourself. But basically this is in response to this gentleman. Let me switch over here. Well, that was painful. When I switched over to this screen here, if you ever used OBS, you can mute different things. In this scene, I had my microphone muted. So I just read 7 Twitter threads with like 15 different things for a half an hour, and it was all muted out. So I guess the benefit of that, my video is going to be shorter for you, more precise. After reading through it all, I'll try to hit all the highlights. Anyway, let's get back into the video. So I was switching over here to look at the why this video was made. And it was in response to Zach XBT Twitter here, who is a kind of a critic of Ben Armstrong and other crypto influencers. It says right here in his Twitter bio, on-chain sleuth, rug pull survivor turned 2D detective. You can see like a cool little graphic that he has down here. But basically he will call out people or call out things that he thinks are rug pulls or scams, and he's been hard on BitBoy Crypto. So this is what this letter is in response to. So let's switch over to the first part, and I will read through that. Like I said, I'll skip as we go, give you all the highlights. Links will be down below in the description if you want to see the whole Twitter thread and read it. It's a good read. It's just difficult to follow. Part 1. I won't try to use a Ben Armstrong voice. This may be the most exhaustive 6-part thread. It's actually, I think, 7 parts in the history of Twitter. This is my open letter to Zach XBT. Maybe something comes from this, maybe it doesn't. But it's all that has to be said. So basically, I think he does mention this. He's been wanting to say this for a while, and something just triggered him the other day, and he just let it all out. His channel has changed a lot over the last little bit, and this is what he talks about. It's been a while, my friend, since you have used my name in a derogatory manner. Yesterday was pretty harmless, but I've been wanting to have this conversation with you for a while, and really have me all wrong. I think that you will find that we aren't very different. I've heard a mixed bag of things about your beginnings, but I don't know you from Adam. I've got a picture of you. I know your name. I know some people close to you. I know where you generally stay. When I started reading this, I was like, ooh, this is getting a little dark, Ben. What are you going to do here? But I want to be clear, this is not a threat. I can honestly care less who you are in real life. That info came to me without looking for it. I'm not giving that info to anybody. I think it's actually in everyone's best interest at this point that you stay anonymous. I'm not here to point fingers back at you regardless of whatever it is in your closet. This is where you ended up. Not sure if your motives were pure at first or if this is about building a platform on larger accounts clout, but the fact is at this point there is a lot that you do that is very valuable and helpful to the crypto community. For the most part, you and Coffee Break YouTube, when not going solely on conjuncture, and hearsay are absolutely pivotal to hold people accountable. Not perfect, as we will see much later in this letter, but I think you have gotten better about that. I used to watch every coffee break YouTube video before anyone even knew who I was. I was super excited to connect with him in 2020. I really thought I could help him sort out common scams in crypto, as he was pretty green at the time. I went on his channel for a never seen interview. He said that he didn't think he went hard enough on me. I was kind of bummed because I thought together we could help. And at this time, it was my first Twitter controversy stirred up. Long and short is that one of my scriptwriters plagiarized 2 sentences. Really, if in editing we just showed a screenshot of the sentence, it would have been fine. Out of the 2,000-ish videos at the time, one time we didn't properly credit someone. It's not right and was definitely a mistake, but we took responsibility for the mistake and issued an apology. It was all the rage in the internet saying I was a plagiarizer. Internet detectives exhausted every video on my channel and couldn't find another single occurrence. So what did they do next? They went through my NFT, every NFT my team ever produced, looking at any piece of clip art, a GIF, color scheme, anything where they could say I stole something from someone. And I think out of 100 or so different NFT designs, there was 2 of them that the witch hunters found. Dun, dun, dun. One used a GIF from Google Images as a foundation, and the other one used a GIF of random hands making a circle, and we put a heart or a logo, something in the middle of it. I don't remember them being copyrighted or not, but that didn't matter. I was held to a higher standard than the other novice NFT creators. One of the biggest detractors was a guy with whose literal logo was a Nirvana logo. Can't make this stuff up. Those were the early days of NFTs on Rarible. I definitely thought it was hypocritical, especially when at the time we were the top seller on Rarible. Each day, Rarible processed sale after sale of right-click save duplicates of my completely original Bitverse NFTs, but there didn't seem to be any concern early on for the scams. You could steal a whole NFT and be fine, but I was daily crucified for my gift sins. I definitely thought this was ridiculous. Still, I took responsibility for my own. Without pressure, decided I would send all the revenue from those 2 NFTs to the original artist. They made thousands of dollars on of ETH on accident, when ETH was about $200 or $300 each. And of course, bad things come in 3. Shortly after this, on the very day that I had to put my first dog down I ever owned, who slept with my oldest son his whole entire life, had been with me and my wife since the first year of our marriage, I was crushed. I had enough time to wipe my tears and walk into what was my first self-inflicted Twitter firestorm. And once again, mistake, and I own it. I accidentally used someone's profit chart as my own. So this goes through to talk about this. Basically, he'll say down here, one of his editors sent him this chart here. He thought that it was a chart that this editor made up, and they posted it or showed it on a video, and it wasn't his. So he sums it up here. It says, I need to bring more help in. I needed to slow down what I was doing. One of my social media interns posted someone's chart without credit recently. 2 years later, I still cringe. 0 instances in between. I think that proves that these were outliers, not a rule. 3,000 videos, 2 plagiarized sentences, 2 GIFs used in an NFT, 2 accidental uses of charts with improper credit. Works out to 99.9% of all my content free of credit errors. So in part 2 here, he starts to get into some of the calls that he made that weren't really good. CoffeeZilla calling him out, basically calling him a pump and dumper. Where do we see here? As in the beginning of your attacks towards me, you automatically would call me a pump and dumper. And on the surface, it probably seemed almost too obvious. I would do a video, chart would go up, peak at some point, and then drop considerably. At least pretty far into 2021, many of the projects I covered during the 2022 as top picks had done pretty well. Their prices would go insane. 2x, 3x, 5x, 10x, 17x in one day. That was the record. But you know what? I was naive. I really thought these coins were good. And then they would level off, and by the end of 2021, they would really 1000x. I thought I was sitting on gold mines. Some like Crete VR would do extremely well. It went up 7,000% from where I bought it at. But then basically, he goes on to talk about, he's saying that he was naive. He pumped these, quote unquote, I guess, did videos on these coins that actually pumped them because it was large viewing, and eventually they all kind of crashed and burned. Not all of them, but some of them did. So we go down here, and basically he was saying that he was used by these different teams and different VC groups. They would leak that he was going to do a video on them, and people within those groups would get ready to sell once the coin pumped right after the video. Okay, we'll skip to here, number 26 of this thread. With each bull run and crypto crash, I learn more. We all do. We learn not your keys, not your crypto is more relevant now than ever. We learned 18% staking is unsustainable. We learned that crypto outside of Bitcoin is... we learned that no crypto outside of Bitcoin is too big to fail. I've always tried to never repeat the same mistake twice. We enacted big changes to policies several times. Protect our audience. I've always tried to improve and do things better. I think you would be hard-pressed to say that the channel isn't better than it was in 2020. By now, Zach, you know the level of scrutiny I'm under. If there was ever any evidence of pump and dump, it's all on the blockchain, it would be known. We go down through some other stuff. So let's skip to thread number 3. So in thread number 3 here, we'll skip down to around this point. So he's talking about his channel blowing up to 1.45 million subscribers. Things I couldn't imagine only a few months earlier when I was still doing side hustles to feed my family. In fact, there was a time where a friend let me borrow 2 Bitcoin. That was how my kids had Christmas. That was how we caught up on 2 months worth of bills. And it was the only thing that sustained me and my family in the last throes of my pre-success YouTube days. That person knows who he is. If it wasn't for him, I may be selling roofs today. Bitcoin was at 6,000, by the way, when I borrowed it. You see, I went all in crypto in 2018. I was broke. I didn't have any money. I rode the bear to zero from 2017, which was less than 10K at its peak, but still was a big deal to me at the time. When I say I went all in, I believed in the channel and the crypto so much that I sold the only possession my family really had, which was our home. The home that all 3 of my kids grew up in, the big backyard, but it was the only way we could survive. We sold it, we made about $70,000, I put $20,000 into crypto, and we lived off the rest. I risked my family's future on crypto. For the first 2 months, we literally lived in my mom's basement. What a meme. Not because we couldn't get a rental, but because I was waiting to hear about a potential TV job in California. But a grown man with 3 kids, 4 dogs at the time, it was humiliating. Over to part number 4. Then we secured a rental. It was too tiny for my family, but it was all we could afford. Literally 0 yard in the back. The kids weren't used to this. It was awful. They hated it. Our dogs had nowhere to run. It was like watching my whole my whole entire family try to deal with a spatial handicap. I promised my wife within 2 years I would buy us a house with cash, while we were flat broke. I don't know how she did it, but she stuck with me and supported me the whole time. 1 year later, it looked dire. 2020 hit, pandemic hit. Boom, 9 months later, I did it. That 9 months was just a whirlwind. In the beginning, nobody cared about me. People didn't think you were going to make it. Everyone was asking me if I was going to get a job. 9 months later, everyone wants a piece of me. That's a lot to sort out. Dramatic life and career changes. I hired my first employee in March of 2020. It was my 19-year-old sister at the time. She still works for me now when she comes home from college, dubbed the assistant. By June, we needed to hire more to scale. We rented 1 room at my stepdad's printing company. 9 months later, we'd have more employees than them, and we were out of parking. I had 25 employees, and we had purchased a 40,000 square foot building to build studios and expand our business. While we waited to move into the new building, we had to temporarily rent a second office. It was wild times. I hired a friend as content developer who became my business partner by the end of the year. We are getting hundreds of requests to work with companies in a sponsored fashion every single week, sometimes daily. It's a lot to manage, you know. We beefed up our research and marketing teams and developed new strategies in filtering projects. And now this is where things get insanely crazy. We made a media sheet and someone leaked it. OMG, no. So basically, in here, this is what, if you had a coin that you wanted to promoted by BitBoy Crypto, this is basically what he would send you. He says, BitBoy Crypto, Ben Armstrong from the United States. It shows his demographics, so mostly all his viewers were males. From the United States between the ages of 25 and 44. He showed that he had 1.4 million YouTube subscribers, his Twitter and Telegram group. And if you wanted a dedicated reviewed video, it would cost you $35,000. If you wanted just a mention on the live stream, $20,000. A full YouTube video, $40,000. Something in the Telegram, $10,000. And a website article, $2,500. So Ben says, at this point, we're going to start working through your infamous thread. And this is where he talks about that. Excuse me. And he goes on to defend himself, saying basically every YouTuber does it, and they do. I'd say 99% of them. Actually, Ben and BitBoy Crypto don't do those anymore. They say they don't do them anymore. So that is pretty cool. And he talks about saying how other places had, like CNBC had pharmaceutical companies where drugs literally killed people. And he goes on to talk about that and defend that position there. So we'll skip on to the next thread. In 2019, I got some advice from much bigger YouTubers who felt sorry for me. They stressed to me that I should focus on giving my audience what they wanted instead of what I thought they needed. That's the key to YouTube's algorithm. But the year is 2022. I have 1.45 million subscribers. 70% of them came in the last year near the peak of the bull run. Now it's time... excuse me. Now's the time where I've had to mature and stop going with what they want, but give them what they need, which is a dose of Bitcoin, ETH, and all the top alts. So basically what he's saying here is if you want to do well within the YouTube algorithm, you need to go into all these degen alts that possibly could give you a 1000x. That's what people want. That's what people are going to click on. That's what people are going to watch. But truly what we need is just a foundation in Bitcoin and ETH, and then some other top alts, where you stand with XRP, ADA, and different ones like that. He's just saying, I'm going to give you solid advice for your future that is going to prepare you to invest in crypto in the next bull run. Because right now we're sitting in a bear market. It is, June 17th, 2022. So it's going to be another 2 years before we have like a bull run. And what you do now in this bear market is what we'll see your success, your fruits will come in the next bull run. So he goes on to talk about that. We'll skip down. So just here farther in this thread, he talks about how he got involved in somewhat of a rug pull, just kind of promoting them. And he feels bad about it, but they kind of pulled the wool over his eyes. So we'll skip to the final thread here. So again, if you want to read everything, you read the links down below. If you can't see that we are tighter, more well-rounded, more responsible channel 2 years later, then it's simply because you don't want to see it, Zach. And at that point, it really does become clout chasing. I would like to settle our differences and see if we can help the next round of entrants into the crypto to avoid a lot of the pitfalls from the lessons we've learned. Who's has a louder voice on crypto YouTube than me? To me, it makes sense as the next evolution of maturity in this space. Let's move past the memes and the pepes and actually put people first. Maybe if we weren't so divided, the truth and the whispers of flaws in projects like Luna or platforms like Celsius get out faster. So if you're watching this later, Terra Luna just collapsed, went to zero, lost billions of dollars, and right now Celsius is in big trouble, and they could be liquidated and basically bankrupt. We'll see what happens there. And people avoid getting hurt. At the end of the day, that's what we both want. I'm pretty sure of that. Everyone isn't going to like me. You may just decide that you have that you are a vendetta holding person who will punish me for all time, and that's fine if you choose to do that. But this is the last time I'm talking about any of this or defending myself on any of these topics. And I'm serious about having you on my channel. I only pointed out some of your errors just to set the record straight. This is certainly not a call-out series of threads. Everyone deserves to have the truth. They can do with it what they please. If you want to know anything ever, you can shoot me an email or DM like CoffeeZilla does. That way, at least you get both sides of the story. Having more information doesn't sound like a negative thing. Signed, Ben Armstrong, founder of BitBoy Crypto. So that's the end of that. Definitely a lot shorter than when I had everything muted. So what do you think about this thread? So obviously there's going to be people. Ben is very polarizing. You're going to have people that hate Ben. You're going to have people that like Ben. I'm more on the like side. I don't idolize or worship any of these crypto YouTubers. Basically, I take what they say. I do my own research. And then I move off of that. Because if you're investing your own money and you're going to lose or you're going to profit, isn't it better that's from what you do? Don't put your trust or your money in these people's hands. A lot of them are very smart, but they have their own twist. They have their own beliefs. But yeah, I think I give Ben credit for coming forward and saying all this stuff. He let out a lot of personal stuff. He owned some stuff. And he realized that I've done some stuff in the past, but I'm trying to be better. I'm trying to help, and I appreciate the video for that. Leave comments down below what you think about Ben. I can just imagine what will be said there. But I really appreciate a like, a subscribe. I do crypto content. I do some sport cards and some gaming stuff. And we'll see you on the next video.